This is Comic Geek Speak, special Star Wars Episode 3 edition. Hey everybody, I'm Brian Deemer.
I'm Peter Rios.
And with us here we have Peter, you having some problems with your throat there?
Yeah.
I'm Peter Rios. I just turned 13 yesterday.
I'm like Peter Brady on the One Brady Bunch special.
No. All right, with us here we have the whole group. We have Shane, we have Matt, we have Jamie, and we have Kevin all joining us here.
Hello.
Because everyone yesterday saw Star Wars Episode 3. And just so you know, this is a special edition of the show, so it's going to be completely full of spoilers, nothing but spoilers. So if you have not seen Episode 3 yet, absolutely do not...
Turn it off right now.
Yes, do not listen to this episode. For all of you who have seen Episode 3, welcome to the discussion, because we're just going to have a lot of fun here today. So where the hell do we even start? I'm just going to start right off by saying I loved it. It's the first movie of the new 3 that I really 100% totally enjoyed and was absolutely pleased by the experience. Anxiously look forward to seeing it a second time. And what does everyone else think?
Absolutely agree. I loved it. It was great.
I fell asleep.
The second time. The second time he
Second
saw
time
it.
for like 2 seconds, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sitting next to him. And I start to hear this rhythmic breathing, and it's on the verge of being a snore. And I was like, I elbowed him right away. I'm like, if you start snoring, there's going to be a rebellion, and not just on the screen, you know?
Because I had seen it earlier in the day with Shane, and earlier that day, or that for the past 2 nights, I was up, weird hours of the night, going to bed early, waking up at 4, staying awake till 6 or 7. And I said... When the first third of the movie, I said, I bet you any money the second time I see that movie, I'm going to fall asleep. And sure enough, I saw the beginning of one scene and the end, and I said, ooh, I was sleeping there for a little bit. But it wasn't because of the movie.
An embarrassment.
Everybody else, what do you guys think? How many lightsabers do you get?
out of how many?
5.
5 being the best?
No, 4. We'll do 4 because of Grievous. We'll do 4.
I'd give it a 3 out of 4.
Ooh.
Yeah, I would say 3 out of 4 also.
Can I do half lifesavers?
Sure.
Then not 3.5.
3.5.
I'll correct mine to 3.5.
No, 3 out of 4.
I concur.
What about you, Kevin? What do you think?
I'm going to be probably the oddball. I'm going to go 2.5, actually.
2.5?
Yeah. There was, I don't know. I mean, I enjoyed the movie. I thought it was a good movie. But I just thought there were some things that I thought could have been elaborated on better that made the story a little flat. I thought some of the dialogue was kind of flat. And it wasn't, I don't know, maybe I was expecting too much out of it. I don't know. It was good, but I was expecting better. I felt, when I left the theater, I was like, wow, is that it? Of course, now not seeing the 2 movies before that, episode 1 and 2.
You're not missing
much. Now I'm even less interested to see the first 2. Yeah. But I thought there were some really cool moments. I thought there was some really great stuff in it. And overall, I say it was a good movie.
If you're looking for expanse, I'm very adamant about this. Read the books. The books for the prequel movies are great. I would say episode 1 and 2, the books are better than the movies. When it came to this one, I wasn't sure I liked his writing style. He threw so much into characterization. I'm like, I already know these characters. I kind of figure how they feel. Why do I need to read about it? Now that I've seen the movie, it makes so much more sense. There's so much expanded upon. Episode 3, book and movie, really do go hand in hand a lot better than any of the others.
And see, that's what I'm looking for. Like, I was discussing it today with somebody else, and one of the things that I felt that was missing for me when I watched the original 3 Star Wars movies, I really got into each character. Everyone was interesting. Everybody had an important role, and everything had sustenance to it. Whereas I watched this, and I didn't get that feeling. I didn't get that draw that pulled me in to really almost any of the characters, really. There wasn't any one character that really, pulled me in, I really care about this character.
Now, here's something that I guess I should ask, is as we talk about this, and, if you say, you've enjoyed it, or, this goes for anybody in the room, are you comparing it to the other 2 movies, or are you comparing it to the whole saga, all 6 movies?
I'm comparing it to all 6, really.
Yeah, I agree, Shane. Definitely.
Yeah, that's how I'm looking at it as well.
I mean, my favorite will always be Empire. Then for me, I would almost have to say that Sith rivals Star Wars as far as flip-flopping, which is favorite for me. And then I would go Jedi. Episode 1 and 2 are kind of interchangeable as last place, second last place.
On the forum, one of our listeners, Drew M, posted his order, and he put Empire, New Hope, Sith, and then Jedi, and then Clone Wars.
I think Attack of the Clones.
Attack of the Clones, and then Phantom Menace.
Yeah.
And I agreed with him that that's the way I like him.
So where does the Christmas special fit in on that?
Way below that.
What about Battle for Endor?
But let's just say, if you see the Christmas special, once is more than enough to see it.
But I think everybody needs to see it once.
I got to tell you though, Natalie Portman was so hot in this. She even made her pregnant look extremely sexy. She was hot in this movie.
We're gonna get a pregnant fetish going on here.
Brago.
That didn't take away. Now, when the kids were born, that would be a different story, because then that's an extra thing you have to worry about.
No, she's generally an attraction to any movie she's been in. But
Yeah,
I
this
think,
from the
again,
room of pedophiles, it was like, she was hot in The Professional.
but in anything I've seen, I enjoy her as an actress, and she is an attractive woman. The thing that I felt in this thing was that her character didn't have much to do.
No, yeah, I agree.
I
I
was let down by it, sort of.
Yeah, she was so integral in the second one that to just have her standing around, combing her hair, and being pregnant, it just wasn't enough for me. I wanted more.
It did seem a little out of character because she was so, in the first one, she was all gung-ho about being the good leader and being all involved in the Senate and blah, 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 blah. But I guess that was one of the scenes, I read an interview with Lucas where he had to cut out, there's a scene, I don't know if they filmed it or if he wrote it, where she starts the rebellion.
It's in the book. It's in the book. It's Bail Organa. It's Padme. It's Mon Mothma and a few other senators, and they're all talking about things going on. And actually, the book portrays Padme as being a little bit against it at first, but as she watches the story progress and things happen, she's like, "Well, yeah, all right." And when you get to that scene where they're all sitting in the Senate and the Emperor is announcing the Galactic Empire and stuff,
right.
She's like, "Oh, all right, yeah, I see where everyone's going with this. We gotta do something because it's wrong now."
Well, she even mentions in the movie about how she can almost see how the Separatists have a good point, and that's where Anakin kind of calls her on it. It's like, pretty much like, hey, you're betraying the Republic. She's like, well, maybe it's not
True.
the democracy that we thought it should be.
Yeah, and that's exactly how the book is, but it expands on a couple meetings that they have to the point where I think Chancellor Palpatine, before he announces himself to Anakin as the Dark Lord, says, "You better watch who you hang out with because so-and-so is doing this and so-and-so is doing that, and we're trying to stop it, or they're going to try and overthrow me." And it's just really interesting. I really think the book really goes hand in hand with the movie for a change.
What was everybody's view about... Jesus, what is going on? It's that damn Altoid you gave me.
Too much speedball.
Private inside joke, you don't need to know anything else about that.
What did everybody think of Hayden Christensen this time around?
Much better than the second time. But I also think I read an interview where he was being told to hold back in the second movie, and that was by, I think, George's direction. So it may not have totally been his fault in the second movie because he was told, no, don't do it that way. Do it like this. You're not supposed to be that dark yet. And he really wanted to go farther. So it may not totally be his fault, but I thought he did so much better this time. He was excellent.
I don't think it was. I mean, in the second movie, it was. I didn't care about him. That was the whole thing. We had a discussion after one of our podcasts about Star Wars, and I was saying that was one of the reasons I really didn't like 1 and 2 because you didn't care about Anakin as a character. He was kind of there. He was a little bratty. He was a little bratty kid in the first one. The second one, he just went around stomping his feet because I can't be the grown-ups. They're not letting me be a Jedi, blah, blah, blah. But I'll be honest, in this one, I felt for his character. You could really see how he wanted to make the right decisions, and he thought he was making the right decisions. He was doing everything for the right reason, yet it still came out that no matter what he did, he it just wasn't right. He went the wrong way, and it just it made you think about the decisions you make in life and so on and so forth. I know I'm getting a little deep and a little maudlin, but I really felt that in this one, and I felt as an actor, there were a couple scenes where he had to play the stomp my feet. Why aren't they making me a master? Blah blah blah. But I really felt by the end of the story, and I know a lot of people are making fun of the great no when he realizes that Padme still died after what he did. I thought that was appropriate because that was him realizing no matter what he did, he betrayed everybody, he killed and destroyed the Jedi Knights to save his love, and he still didn't save his love. He betrayed everybody he trusted, everybody he loved, and he still wasn't able to do it.
I like that scene too. It really shows, to me anyway, that if he wouldn't have done anything, because I guess I should say because he tried to change the outcome of his dream, his precognition, that it was his fault that everything happened in that movie. If he would have just left it alone and trusted his teachings, everything would have been fine. It wouldn't have turned out that way.
Yeah, and I was saying to some of you guys earlier, I said I might have just been an idiot because I didn't see it coming, but I really loved that the reason that he became Darth Vader was not for some lust for power, but for the love of a woman. He became the ultimate evil because he had the ultimate love, and so it's a great contradiction, and I didn't see that coming. I'm sure a lot of people did, but I was like, oh, that's a great reason to become Darth Vader. Like, it's probably the best reason there could have been, because anything else would have seemed less real, and so I was really pleased by that.
It wouldn't have been as tragic. I mean,
Right.
and that's what I think Lucas was going for, the tragedy of the decisions you make.
I have to say, in the prequels, my favorite character has to be Palpatine. Just how, with the first one, how it was just something that started off a little bit small about with the Trade Federation and everything, and how everything was just throughout the movies manipulated just enough with each one to get him to become the Emperor. And I just thought, I always think of Lex Luthor when I think of him now, just because one thing that's almost throwing you off from it's so minute that you don't even think about it, that by the time you realize what's happening, it's way too late to...
The Grandmaster chess player or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, out of all the actors in that movie, I felt he was the one that took that script and owned it. I felt... And I guess same thing with Obi-Wan, Ewan McGregor, but really the actor who played Palpatine he just really worked all that dialogue, and it was because he didn't just spout it out. He took his time. He really paced his wording. Great. His facial expressions were awesome. I mean, that opera scene where they're in the opera watching the calamari. I mean, he was really just fascinating to watch. So yeah, he definitely took that script and just said, I'm gonna just throw layer upon layer upon, and it always kept me guessing. I mean, you know who he is, and yet you're wondering, how is it going to happen? How is he going to reveal himself? How are the others going to learn? I mean, who he was. It was really, I thought that mystery, even though we know what it is, it still was a mystery. I thought that was cool.
Yeah, that was the whole point of doing him the way he was. It was great subterfuge that he kept causing, because even up through just until I read the book, I always thought, no, they're going to throw a clone in there somewhere. It's going to end up being Palpatine's a clone being controlled by the real Palpatine, who is the Dark Lord, and it still just ended up being him doing his thing.
Oh, dead air. We just had dead air. Or a pregnant pause, perhaps. That's more appropriate, too, with the whole pregnancy. See, the problem is we actually discussed so much of this even not 2 hours ago.
I told you to save your discussion.
So we have to repeat everything we said for the benefit of the audience.
Well, I want Jamie to talk about, and we can all pitch in, but I'll have Jamie start. In the movie, there were scenes that, the minute you saw it, it was like, oh, that's straight out. He took that straight out of Star Wars 1, A New Hope, or that reminded me of Return of the Jedi, or sorry, whatever. And Jamie, the one you talked about, Darth Vader, I thought was one of the best. So
yeah, while I was watching it, I was thinking about it, and then I really even thought about it as I was driving home. One of the scenes that I thought was rather interesting and it adds weight to a scene from Jedi was there's a scene where Mace Windu confronts Chancellor Palpatine, and he with a bunch of other Jedis, and they basically everybody but Mace gets his ass kicked and killed, and Anakin comes in, and it is basically almost Mexican standoff between the Emperor and Mace, and Anakin has to choose who he's going to side with, and he makes the choice of siding with the Emperor, helps him defeat Mace. And it harkened to the scene in Jedi where Vader has to make that same decision. And at the time, you were always thinking, oh, it was just he was making the decision as a father, saving his son, that's what I always brought it to. He finally found the good in him, didn't want to see his son die, and made the decision to stop the Emperor. But now I'm thinking, well, maybe this was him making up for his bad decision earlier, and it coming full circle, he had to make the decision, and he chose the good side this time, and that's what led him on the path, back to the good side.
I liked also the scene at the end. I agree with Jamie 100%, by the way. I like the scene at the end when Obi-Wan delivers Luke to his Uncle Owen, and they're standing at the dune staring at the sunset.
Yeah, I like that. And I like the subtle part of that scene, too, was Obi-Wan hands Luke to Beru,
Mm-hmm.
not to Owen.
Right.
Owen's standing off 100 feet away.
Almost not sure
Because,
if he...
because in Episode 4, we know that Uncle Owen doesn't like Obi-Wan. He calls him the crazy old hermit, and he has real disrespect for him, because he obviously doesn't like the whole Jedi thing. He wasn't a big fan of that or whatever. And so that was just a subtle little thing that was really cool and really tied the two movies together. And, of course, the scene in the blockade runner, when you see the droids and they're standing in the exact same spot where you first see them. The last scene you see them is the first place you see them in the next movie, and it's just so well connected there.
That scene you talk about with Uncle Owen standing in Star Wars: A New Hope, that's my favorite scene in that movie, is when Luke looks out onto the sky. That image is just awesome. And the music swells and it's so cool.
When I saw that, I kind of thought how much influence Uncle Owen actually had over Luke throughout bringing him up. That's where Luke saw his Uncle Owen stand all the time, so that's where he stands all the time. It just really connected those two characters as a parent and son almost, so much closer than what you get out of the movie.
And then there was the little things like after the battle. I'm sorry, I was listening. After the battle between Anakin and Obi-Wan, where he walks up the hill and he grabs Anakin's lightsaber, because he's going to give it to Luke in Star Wars: A New Hope, which I thought that was really cool. There it is. That's the music. It's so neat because it's that one moment in A New Hope where every character has their dream or their destiny or whatever, and what Luke's is going to be, but that's the moment where it's like, okay, from here on, it's going to happen. So I always look for those kind of moments. They're really neat.
And to me, that music always just brings back like a yearning that I always felt. I mean, of course, John Williams, a fantastic composer, and his music. I mean, I can listen to it for forever. I mean, whether it be Star Wars, whether it be the March from Raiders of the Lost Ark, brings back visionary memories to me. And that music just is yearning, and that's what that scene is. He's just yearning for his future.
I'm so angry that they haven't put out a complete Episode 2 or now 3 complete soundtrack like they did for the first 3, and then Episode 1. I'm still waiting. I'm dying for the rest of the movies to come out in whole complete editions.
Yeah, they have those 2 CD sets with the shiny, black, little sparkly, things.
Yeah.
Let you come out shortly. I'm sure Lucas is, searching around for cash.
Well, I thought that after Attack of the Clones, I even thought Sony said that they were debating about doing it, and since they did Episode 1, I can't see why they wouldn't do the next one, but it just never materialized.
Eventually. We won't have to wait forever.
I'll tell you what, I'm really getting ready I can't wait to see those, like the filler animated series and live action that Lucas is talking about to bridge the 2 movies, Episode 3 and Episode 4. I'm really looking forward to see what he comes up with. I'm assuming it's going to be like
I'm more
minor
excited about the
characters.
TV series than I was about this 3rd movie, because it's just I hope it's cool. Oh, I wanted to say one thing. I gotta thank Peter for pointing something out to me in the movie. If you didn't catch it, it's like at about the 15th minute or
It's right after they
10 minute,
rescue after they crash land. Yeah.
you see the Millennium Falcon land on a spaceport, and that was just really cool.
It's when the shuttle lands at the Senate building and unloads Palpatine and Anakin and Obi-Wan, and right in the bottom right-hand corner, Pete picked it out to me too. It just lands real subtly.
It's just a nice little thing you get to see it there.
Yeah, it just makes you wonder what's it doing at the Senate building. You know what I mean? Like, who could possibly be piloting that it would be that important that it has to go there? So
Actually, I was thinking, what a piece of junk.
Anybody have their favorite moment in the movie? Like, looking back on it, like something that just really got your Star Wars,
Anytime Yoda's fighting just does it for me.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. Yoda for me is the character that sells it for me. And that scene when he walked in at the end with the Red Guard, just that was it. That's all I needed to see.
When he was fighting the Emperor and they come up on the Chancellor's telescoping seat, and then all of a sudden they pull back and you see the whole Senate. That was really kind of powerful.
That was a nice scene.
That was and it was neat watching it. The second time I saw it, it was a bigger screen. And it was like even more of an impact of just what they really were fighting for. You know what I mean? Because there you are, right in the Senate building, and that was powerful.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great. It wasn't just cool looking; it actually had meaning too. And I hadn't thought of that until you just said it.
Yeah.
To me, I was just all paying attention to their fight, and now you say that, it's like, oh, it's a very good spot to be fighting.
Right, that setting had a lot of importance in that battle, just as well as the two characters fighting.
Yeah.
I'd say for me, it was probably the moment, when Obi-Wan and Anakin are fighting, and it was pretty much Obi-Wan saying, "I failed you. You're now evil because of my failures as a teacher." And to me, that kind of got me. That I was just like, you know what? Now Obi-Wan's pretty much blaming himself for what happened to Anakin, and Padme's doing the same thing. So it was like everyone had a small factor in Vader becoming Vader, and they're pretty much turning it inward. For me, it was just like, wow.
Yoda does the same thing after he fails to defeat Palpatine. He gets all sulky and sullen about it, that he failed defeating the Sith himself.
And that also lends to earlier in the movie when Anakin apologizes to Obi-Wan, where, I think that was, and then Obi-Wan realizes, you know what, he's not the one that needs to be apologizing, it's me. So yeah, that goes with that scene you're talking about.
And the other thing that is a little like connection and parallel in the movies is when Yoda, after he fights Palpatine, and he's crawling through the hole and he jumps out into the little speeder, it's kind of like Luke jumping out after losing to Vader and going into the Millennium Falcon. It's like there's all those little parallels that you don't necessarily realize at first, and it sinks in later, and you're like, oh shit, that's cool.
Yeah, I would really love to get a hold of like notes of whatever that meeting was. George Lucas probably said, okay, everybody, I want parallels to every single movie that we've done. Make a list and let's see what's going to stick. Because they had to have done something like that.
Oh yeah, it was a big meeting, I'm sure.
For me, the scene that I thought was kind of neat was after Yoda decapitates those two the stormtroopers are going to kill him, and he and Chewbacca and the other Wookiee walk out, and Chewbacca just kind of picks him up and pops him on his shoulder. I thought that was kind of cool. And if anything, I was most disappointed in was the fact that they didn't use the Wookiees as much as I thought they were going to use.
Just took the words right out of him.
I really wanted to see more Wookiee, more action. I mean, you saw some, but the preview set it up that I thought the Wookiees were going to come and they were going to be, like the Ewoks.
More of a force, a predominant force in the actual uprising and such. And I thought the same thing when I saw the preview and you see them all standing there and cheering. I was like, I'm waiting. This is going to be good. This is going to be cool. You're going to see more with the Wookiees, and you're going to, I wanted to do more of the characters and to see more of their motivation towards things, and I miss that.
I got a weird Tim Burton Planet of the Apes vibe during that scene, because they were on the beach and there's a scene like that in Planet.
Sure.
It's not. I know they didn't mean it for that, but I was sitting there the second time and I went, "Oh, where's what's his name? Mark Wahlberg." I expect to see like Mark Wahlberg coming out.
See, for
Cornelius.
me, I was almost glad that they didn't show as much of the Wookiees. I love Wookiees and it's cool, but I didn't want them to get watered down and turn lame. And that was my fear the whole time before I went to see it. I'm like, if they ruin Wookiees, I'm going to be pissed. So by just kind of glancing over them, you see how cool they are, but they don't make it lame. Now, I could have seen more Chewbacca, because we already know and love Chewbacca, so to spotlight him a little more, I would have been totally fine with. But I didn't really have a problem with not seeing so much of the Wookiees.
I was hoping Chewbacca was a little bit more predominant too, and in fact, I always thought when I read the book, I'm like, I don't remember reading about Chewbacca. So last night at like 2 a.m, I dig out the book and I'm going through it, and sure enough, they skip over the entire Wookiee battle, which is one of the big disappointments, or one of the good things about it, that the movie and book each have things that are not in the other. But Chewbacca's not even in it. They don't mention it. Nothing. There's nothing really about the Yoda getting in the escape pod that I can remember and going off in like an ET type setting. My favorite scenes, I'd have to say there are two. I like when Obi-Wan and Anakin are bantering back and forth about like how many times he saved me and how many times he didn't. Like, it really seemed to me like they really got closer as a result of the Clone Wars, because throughout the cartoon and I suppose the books, I haven't read most of those, that they really built a relationship up now that Anakin was not his Padawan and not like taking shit from Obi-Wan for not doing something right or whatever the case may be. Right. My other one is I love the montage of the Jedis getting betrayed through all the clone troopers as the Order 66 went out. It was so powerful, so moving. I hope they expand on that, because I know there's other Jedis that they have figures of that are mentioned that you don't see, and I hope that gets expanded a little bit in the DVD version.
I'm kind of curious if 66 represents some kind of, like, is there some kind of hidden reference, or was Lucas just like,
I was obsessed with the number the whole time, like 66. It seems like such a boring number to pick, like, 38 or 37, like just something, but 66, I was like, what does that mean? What do we not know about the number 66? Or
that was referenced to in like the first...
Did Lucas buy something this morning and he had 66 cents change and he went, order number 66.
You know what? Maybe it's his favorite sandwich at a West Deli or something like that. I'll take a number 66.
Or what happened in 1966? Did he graduate from film school, or did what happened?
Lost his virginity.
Yeah, what happened? Or was that his favorite model car, like the 66 Mustang? I mean, who knows? Like, what is it?
That's what I was thinking. Maybe it was film school graduation or something, because he always puts so much of his own experience in movies into his movies as little subtleties and whatnot. I've come up nothing.
Talk about where he was in the movie.
Oh, yeah, if you didn't catch George Lucas and his daughter, I saw a report or a little snit of them getting made up to look like blue alien senators. And when Anakin is running through the opera house and ducks into Palpatine's personal box office, right to the left of the door before he ducks in there is George Lucas and his daughter dressed up as blue senators.
That was cool. My favorite scene in the movie, I had two of them as well. The first one was when Mace confronted, I think the whole confrontation with Palpatine. When Mace and the other Jedi Knights come in, and he pops that lightsaber out. And it's funny, like in the previews, you only saw him rush up to them really fast, but in the movie, you get the whole spinning thing, and there was something like animal. There was like an animal sound to it as well, and that whole thing was great. But added with that also was, like you said before, Jamie, about Anakin deciding to go. Like right before that scene, you have Anakin at the Jedi Temple, and you have Padme back in her apartment, and no dialogue, hardly any music. I think it was just like drums or whatever, but they're just looking across the city at each other. Anakin makes that decision. He rushes over, and you're like, okay, what's he gonna do? You kind of knew where he was going, but was he gonna help him? I didn't know, even though you kind of should have known. I was like, hey, it could go either way. And they crash out that window, and Mace is Samuel L. Jackson's getting all Ezekiel 25:17 on his ass, and it was so neat the way the Emperor was he was playing the weak, he was pretending like he was getting hurt, and then just turns around and what did he say? It was like ultimate power, and just zaps the hell out of him, and so I thought that was a great moment. The other moment for me, the second time around I saw it, it really just, like you said, you talked about this before, Shane, and obviously you have more connection with it, is the birth of the twins. Like, to just see, because you know their history, you know their importance, and you're watching Yoda and Obi-Wan, they're all looking on, and they're starting to realize where this could go. You know, the birth of these twins could be their salvation. You know, maybe not that extreme, but they definitely, it's in their mind.
I know a lot of people didn't like the fact that the doctor droid came out and said, well, she just has no will to live, where to me it's so tragic that she doesn't, even though her kids are being born, she loved her husband so much that now that he's done all this, she does not want to live. She does not want to see him in her kids. She doesn't want to go through trying to hide them from it or do anything. She's like, you know, it's over. It's all over. I'm just going to let somebody else take care of these kids now.
That has a very Shakespeare kind of quality to it. I mean, with the whole Romeo and Juliet kind of thing. So I mean, it's a space opera. They always talk about being a space opera, so I can see that.
I just want to throw something out there. As I was watching this movie, I was just like, God damn, Obi-Wan is the bomb. I mean, you think about who he took on. I mean, yeah, he got his ass kicked by Dooku, but he took on the Grievous with 4 lightsabers, took him down, took his ass down, and he held his own against Vader, who is supposedly... Yeah, and he took down Darth Maul, too. But as a Jedi, he kicked ass.
He's actually my absolute favorite character throughout the whole thing. I love the lightsaber he picked out. I love the way he held himself. I just loved the way Obi-Wan came across in all the movies, and especially this one. To me, watching him fight Anakin really showed, you know, as much as Anakin gave himself into the dark side, it showed just how much Obi-Wan gives into himself. Not that he's trying to beat Anakin, it's just he turns himself over to the Force and lets it flow through him to do everything. So, yeah, why wouldn't he at that point be able to counter Anakin at every turn? Because he's battling for the entire galactic universe. He's battling for everything. So he just lets everything go and just lets the whole thing flow through him, and he does the best he can. And it shows that was the whole point, that even though Anakin was supposed to be the chosen one, there's no question that Obi-Wan's right up there with him.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I really like how the ending sets up everyone going off in their own direction. That it's not, well, you just get like a montage of where everyone is at the very ending and how, you know, they're all breaking off for kind of their side stories. And I just thought that was, I mean, the same thing was done in Empire too, where they were broken up. But I just thought I like to see those different scenes and things were getting set up. Even though Brian brought this up last night when we saw it, somehow it takes 18 years to build the first Death Star.
That's what I was just
but
going
the
to say.
second one only takes like 6 months.
Well, I mean, you see the skeleton of the Death Star, and you figure, well, it's 18 or 20 years until Luke, you know, until the episode, you know, until episode 4.
It was more of the outer case. It wasn't really it was like they were starting on the
but
outer
still,
casing.
you have the entire financial and manpower backing of the entire empire, and you can't finish a Death Star in less than 18 years. Somebody's not managing that project well.
Independent contractors.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Kevin Smith.
I got 2 words for you. Union.
Yeah, that's what it is.
That's why the second one took less time, because
It was
eliminated all-
non-union,
yeah.
yep. See?
Well, that honestly, in my gut, that's an inconsistency. Like, I loved it was an awesome scene. You see Grand Moff Tarkin, you see them standing there on the bridge of the ship. It's just like any of the original 3 movies. And so it was a great scene, but I'm just going 18 years to build the Death Star. I don't buy it.
Now, as much as I don't like to say this, because I didn't like this book series, but the Jedi Academy trilogy, those 3 books, that centered around, I think one of them centered around a prototype, which was just the outer casing, like a circumference, a circle going up vertically and horizontally. And that was kind of it. A couple little pieces to it, but it was just a prototype to it. So they could have thrown that in. I hope they didn't. I would rather it be the original Death Star, but they could have thrown that in as the prototype to test the powerfulness of it, and then go to the Death Star and at the same time build the second one so that they can always have 2 going around. But yeah, that's what my theory would be.
Going back to Anakin and Obi-Wan, I thought what you were saying about Obi-Wan's force and abilities and all that, I thought it was great how their fighting styles were exactly the same. Like there was that one lightsaber duel where they're just starting to spin around each other.
Behind their backs or whatever?
Yeah, they're like
And they
totally
bring
flipping, and then they meet, and then they try to zap each other with the force, and I thought that was very well done, because that's exactly how Anakin would fight. He would fight like the master that trained him. So I thought that was a nice attention to detail there.
What did you think of that whole idea that Obi-Wan saw him as like his brother? I mean, in the second one, it was always Anakin was like, you know, Obi-Wan is like my father, but Obi-Wan always saw him as more of a brother. What did you kind of think of that?
Well, they're not that far apart. I mean,
Oh no,
I
I'm not
can't
saying I have a
imagine they're
problem with
far-
it, but
yeah.
I in a way I kind of looked at it. I found it a little bit interesting how Obi-Wan saw him as pretty much equals, my brother, whereas in Anakin was always, he's more of a father figure to me. So he always kind of looked up to Obi-Wan, whereas in Obi-Wan was always, we're on the same level, not training-wise, at first I was your master and you were my
Well, that
Padawan,
just
but then
right, and that just goes along with why Anakin fails, because he's all about jealousy, and so he would put himself in a position where he has to always try to come up to. He's always failing Obi-Wan's expectations in his mind, Whereas Obi-Wan is like, if you would just get rid of that, you'd realize we're equals. That's why what you said about that banter about I saved you 10 times, and he's like, no, it's 9 times. But that right there just goes to show Obi-Wan always felt that they were equals. Once he reached a certain point.
It shows Anakin's character as to a certain extent a self-confidence problem, feeling like he's alone in the universe at times, just never living up to anything, always thinking the Jedi are downing him when really they're just trying to bring him to their level to get, I guess I should say, to get him to realize that he's at their level if he would just shed all the stuff that burdens him.
Yeah, he's his own worst enemy in essence, that that they do things to him to raise him to the next level, where he looks at it as they're thumbing him down.
Exactly.
And that's just his perception.
And I kept getting the impression that Sith Lords are pretty much crybabies, because every time you really saw Anakin, as he was getting darker and darker, he'd be crying all the time.
The character I was disappointed with was General Grievous. I really thought he would have a little more to do.
I want to know what the deal is with him. He's a robot, but he's got liquid tissue or whatever, so he's a human that turned
cyborg.
into...
Yeah, he's a cyborg. He's got organic insides that got encased. He was human at one time, and I don't know the backstory about how he became a cyborg, but that's what I know of him, that he is kind of humanoid inside with heart, tissues, and it's all encased and protected in that outer cyborg shielding.
Which got damaged in the Clone Wars cartoon, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
By
Was that why he was coughing and stuff?
Yeah.
Because I kept saying, why is a droid coughing? Because they don't need to cough. And then when Obi-Wan ripped his chest plate open and you saw his heart, I'm like, all right, that's why he's coughing. I was really perturbed for the
Well, you could
beginning.
kind of see it in his eye. I mean, you could see that he had eyes.
Yeah,
as
but they
opposed
weren't
to-
always zooming in on that, I guess. I don't know. I didn't see that. And I was like, a coughing droid, that's ridiculous.
Well, that was Lucas making you watch the cartoon and read that Labyrinth of Evil book, which it centers around him, by the merchandising.
He wasn't a Sith Lord, was he? He was just
No,
somebody
no.
that was trained in the...
According to the Clone War cartoon, and this is Lucas going back to them after they made the first series and saying, I want you to do it again, but I want you to connect it to the movie, so here you go. Here's what we're doing. Make it work to lead up to the movie. He was trained by Dooku, just like he says in the movie, I think at one point, that he's just trained to use the lightsabers, and that's his little shtick, is every time he kills a Jedi, he takes their lightsaber.
Yeah, one thing that I kind of, I don't know. I mean, when I watched the original movies, I always wondered what Yoda was doing on Dagobah, and I always actually thought, not having any other backstory, that's where the Jedi went to learn on Dagobah. I thought it was a little out of character for him to suddenly say, I'm going to put myself in exile. Wouldn't Yoda, I mean, he blamed himself for the Emperor succeeding and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, okay, don't cry. Do something about it. Why wouldn't he be part of the rebellion? Why did he put himself in exile in Dagobah, where he could have used the skills he had to fight on the side? Now you can say the same thing about Obi-Wan. Why didn't he use it? But then he had his mission was to watch over Luke, and they gave him that mission. But when he said, I'm going to put myself in, he's sitting in the car with Organa, he said, I'm going to have to go into exile. And I'm like, no, you don't go into exile. You help fight for, you help fight the evil that's out there.
Well, I think that's his whole reason for doing what he did, because to me it's like training him being a master Jedi and training the other Jedi and realizing it wasn't enough to defeat the dark side, that as him being a master like that, his way of raising himself to the next level, to raise himself to the same level as the dark side and be that power, is to go inward, and go find himself more deeper.
It's
and
very much
establish
like a
himself.
samurai.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's how I.
Yeah. So to me, it didn't totally seem out of character at all. It seemed like it was a perfect thing for him to do, is to go and be completely exiled by himself, to find more inner strength in himself to allow him and the Force to join to rise to a different level.
That, or it's just so simple as if he was helping the rebellion, they would know where he was because they could sense the power of him because he was so strong in the Force, and then they just go find him everywhere he was. So he put himself on the, farthest away that they would never look, so they would never sense him. I don't know.
Which is the same reason why they moved Leia and Luke to different places.
Exactly.
Too.
Exactly, and I always thought it wasn't ever brought up in the movie, but I always thought, now seeing the movie, that they did it. Obi-Wan's one Jedi, Yoda's the other, and for all intents and purposes, they're it. So they know Luke and Leia are there. If one of them is going to be trained, if one of them dies, there is still one. They're not together. They're not in the thick of everything, so that if Obi-Wan and Luke end up dying, there's still Leia out there, and Yoda still knows about everybody, so he is still around to train them. So he went out to do that, and also with the whole Qui-Gon thing, there is more to the Force than what Yoda knows. And I will say it again, it's done very well in the book, where he submits himself to Obi-Wan as almost a Padawan to Qui-Gon, where Qui-Gon is the only Jedi that has ever been able to talk to anybody from beyond. And it's explained and talked about very well in the book that Yoda says, okay, thank you, my new master, you're going to be teaching me about what's going to happen with the Force so that I can better myself. And then Yoda passes it on to Obi-Wan, and Obi-Wan is going to do it while he's on Tatooine watching over Luke.
The one thing I read, I don't know if it's in Heir to the Empire or if it's in the novelization of the original trilogy. Sorry, my phone just... I got a new phone today. Again, another phone thing.
I
And
figured
you
that
didn't even know the ring was yours.
No.
Everyone's looking around going, whose phone is that ringing? And then Peter feels in his pants, he's like, oh, it's my phone. It's like, you don't even know what your ringtone
No,
is.
and it's got a weird... It doesn't even have a phone number.
I
It's
figured
like
when
this
I heard
weird
that gay
message.
tune
Maybe
that
it's
it had to be Peter.
That's an
That's
instant
an email.
text message.
Who's text messaging me already? Maybe it's from the company. Since I
Maybe
use
Well,
so many
either that
phones
or
now.
somebody might have a number that somebody else might have had.
One thing I was going to say, in one of those books, I can't remember which one, they talked about Yoda hunting down a dark Sith or something, and that's why he's on Dagobah. And,
A Dark Jedi.
Right, a dark Jedi, and that's why the tree is like, the cave is affected by it, so he has to stay there to kind of balance it out. I can't remember where I read it, though.
Yeah, that's an Heir to the Empire, and I can't remember the name of that, because that Dark Jedi, I think it's a clone of him that is the main villain Dark Jedi.
Sabaoth? Caboth?
I can't remember his name. We were talking about it earlier. It's been like 10 years since I've read those.
I tell you what, I was a little impressed with, when they're starting the attack on the Jedis, and Anakin leads into the Jedi sanctuary, or whatever it is, and he goes into like council room, and all of a sudden you see the younglings as they're called out, and you're like, holy shit, he's gonna kill them. And like that just moment of he's getting to that point where he's just gonna slaughter off the kids.
Yeah, and the innocent kid with the British accent, what do we do, master? And it's...
Please, sir, may I have some more?
No, Jonk.
I told you not to call me Annie, damn it.
How about I'd kill people for that.
Damn Padme, why do they keep calling him Annie? I hate that.
The sun will come out.
The Force will come out tomorrow.
Let's Lucas's Broadway.
Yeah.
Annie.
Star Wars on ice.
Oh, well, I wouldn't doubt it, If they could do the Christmas special and get them on the Muppets, you never know.
And Sesame Street.
So, Peter, I see you're prepping some
Yeah,
trivia
yes, I do.
for me here.
I don't got any intro music for this?
No. I don't have anything queued up.
All right, we're going to do some Star Wars trivia, and since I'm probably got the least amount of knowledge on this, and Kevin do. So how do you want to do? You want to go around each one, or just whoever answers it first?
Whatever.
Whatever. Okay, here we go. We're going to do some Star Wars. This is straight out of the Star Wars Trivial Pursuit. Who was known as Rogue 3 during the Battle of Hoth?
Jack Porkins.
Wedge.
Yep, Shane's going to take all
Wedge.
these. Wedge Antilles.
Well, he bought the game and then just
No,
read through
Porkins
it.
died in the assault on the Death Star. I don't know what I was thinking.
I was going to say Duck Dodger. But
What?
Mayhofer.
Here's another one. What two types of starfighters utilize R2 units as repair droids and co-pilots?
X-Wings and...
Y-Wings.
Y-Wings. There you go.
Cool. How many credits did Obi-Wan promise to give Han Solo once they reached Alderaan?
Oh, let me think about that for a second, because that's a really good question. And wow, that's super. I've seen that scene 500 times.
I'll even quote it.
I don't remember.
I'll pay you 2,000 now plus 15 when we reach Alderaan. 17.
Well, they have 15 here listed.
Oh.
Yeah.
So. Okay, I'll throw an easy one out. Who advised C-3PO it's not wise to upset a Wookiee?
Oh, that was Han. Let the Wookiee win.
Let the Wookiee win. How many times did Luke ignite his lightsaber during his duel with Vader on the second Death Star?
That's a good question.
That's yeah. I mean, I don't. 2.
More than one.
I'm going with 3.
3.
Son of a bitch.
Here's one. What question does Darth Vader ask in his first line in Star Wars?
Where are the plans?
Yeah.
Where are those transmissions you intercepted?
Yeah, there you go. Same,
It's like James
same.
Earl Jones is here.
But not.
Not.
What planet did the Death
Maybe
Star
with that.
orbit to get a clear shot at the Rebel base?
Yavin 4.
Yavin, yep.
They have down Yavin. Who directed The Empire Strikes Back?
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, Irvin Kershner,
That's exactly right. What type of farmer was Uncle Owen?
moisture farmer.
Here's one. If you get this, what type of stew did Yoda prepare for Luke?
Shit.
Snake stew.
Yeah, I was thinking snake.
It's root leaf.
Yeah, I was gonna say root. Damn it.
Is that even in the scene? Is that in the scene? Yeah, is it?
The fact that they're eating, yes, but I don't think he ever mentions what it is.
You have to be a real geek to know those answers.
Yeah.
Did you see the recipe sitting next to that?
Fill time between these questions and answers so I can make sure I remember which questions I want to ask. What must Luke remove from R2-D2 to view Leia's entire message?
Oh, the restraining bolt.
Restraining bolt.
Come on, that's too easy.
I threw some, easy ones in there. What planet did the Rebel fleet gather at prior to the second Death Star battle?
Oh, that's a good one too.
Wait.
Near Sullust.
He's not giving you.
Yeah, I didn't know that one. That one, I didn't have any
I
idea.
have to ask, Shane, do you even watch your kids?
My wife would say no at times.
I mean, he's not even sure when they were born.
Kids? What kids?
This all comes from years of watching before. I think when I stopped counting how many times I saw A New Hope, it was like 130 some.
He was too busy standing in line for the first Star Wars when it was still like 3 years away. I got to make sure I'm first in line for those tickets. Screw the kids.
Wait a minute, just to prove a point that we're all just as bad as he is. Kevin, Amazing Spider-Man 253, cover date and year. Can you do it?
253. I would say.
I don't even know.
I'm not sure of the month, but I'm saying.
Isn't that the one right after the?
Yeah, that was, 252 was the black costume, the first appearance of the
What
black
cover
costume.
date is that? Do you know?
Cover date? I'm going with 84, I think. That's with Secret Wars.
Or month? Do you know the month?
April, I think.
He's probably right because he's normally always right in the trivia.
I don't doubt him.
I don't know. I'm kind of thinking, though, for Shane, were your kids like Anakin, where they were no father, spontaneous?
The Metachlorians just erupted. And
No midichlorians here.
All right, here we go. What was Lando Calrissian's call sign during the second Death Star battle?
Gold leader.
Jesus, I move away from the mic and he's like right on it. Here's a softball. What actor played Wicket?
Warwick Davis.
Yep, and
He had a special cameo in Phantom Menace
next to
next
who
to
did you
Sofia
say?
Coppola.
Yeah, that's kind of cool.
He was also on Marvin and Hitchhiker's Guide.
He was Willow.
I
Oh,
thought it was
that's
Allison
funny.
Anakin.
What is the predominant environment of Dagobah?
A swamp. I
know.
freaking kindergartners know that.
Whose house band included the musicians Max Rebo, Cy
Jabba.
Snoodles, and Droopy McCool?
Java.
Cy Snooties and the Max Rebo Band.
Jesus, he even knows all the actual name.
Hey man, that was the shit when I was collecting toys back then.
How do you spell Wookiee?
Wookie.
Nope.
What?
Yeah, that's how I'd spell
What do
it.
you mean? No.
Wookiee.
Ah,
Hey,
It's
it's a
Moops.
question.
what the hell is that?
The moops.
It's a typo.
Here's one. Who commanded Darth Vader's flagship during the second Death Star battle?
Was it Admiral Piet?
Yes, it was. Who was the admiral of Darth Vader's fleet at the start of The Empire Strikes Back?
I don't know.
Oh, he kills him. I can't remember it. He said, I know he says. I can't remember that.
Stump
the
Shane.
Stump the
Shane.
Mulholland. Ozzel? O-Z-Z-E-L?
Yeah, Admiral Ozzel.
I bet you Lucas couldn't answer all these.
Yeah,
questions.
no way. It's only because of
Who wrote
toys
that
and
shit?
books.
I don't remember that.
Toys repetition.
Yeah,
See, he didn't write that, so.
that's what always amazes me is like, when I was reading message boards leading up to this movie, staying away from spoilers, but just people know everything,
Yeah.
and you know what? It's not even in the movie that half this stuff comes out. It's from all the other extraneous stuff and the toys and whatnot. It's like, how do you know?
Well, that's how you know all that stuff from the toys. Like the characters that are in movies that they don't ever address them. Like Bib Fortuna is Jabba's servant, the guy with the blue head thing wrapped around. The only reason you know his name is Bib Fortuna is because you had the toy. You would never know. It's not in a movie. It's nothing.
Well, I think I don't know if you guys ever saw Galaxy Quest.
I never saw.
Oh yeah, that's funny.
Yeah,
That's
But
great
it was
movie.
just how
That is good.
you have those people. I guess it was mostly Star Trek, but it was like how some people take it to that next level where they're asking questions. Well, in this episode you push this button which activated this, but in another episode you push the same button but it activated that. How come? Was there some kind of alteration or something? And it's like it's just a movie. It's just
Yeah,
a
did
TV
that circuit get moved?
Yeah.
Here's one.
Is that right?
How many tusks were visible on Jabba's Gamorrean guards?
2.
One.
Which one were the Gamorrean guards?
Those big fat pig things. They had 2, right?
It says 4.
4. Oh.
Yeah, I was gonna say two.
Let's see. What race were the spies who captured crucial information on the second Death Star,
Bothans.
Jamie?
Bothans.
Uh,
That's okay.
what is the center switch on a speeder bike used for?
Jamming
Jamming
the
transmissions.
How many sand grains were on Tatooine?
1 million.
What city contains a recycling room incinerator?
What city?
Cloud City.
Oh,
Yeah.
Incinerator. Okay.
How many licks does it take to get to the center of this?
3.
What did the buttons on
Same
Darth
as-
Vader's costume activate?
The red one calls mom.
Oh, which button calls your mom at the when the movie's
Take you-
over?
take you home.
Yeah, that's great. Keep talking. I gotta find one.
I don't know what to say.
Not
Jack
me either,
Mayhofer.
Talk about the previews.
The
well,
Before the movie.
Fantastic Four, baby.
That was
Flame on.
That was great. That was great.
I'm pumped.
Angelina Jolie. That's all I have to say.
oh
Angelina
yeah,
Jolie.
yeah,
Mr.
Mr. and Mrs. Smith. I'm
Yeah.
Oh,
definitely
I
gonna
didn't
see
get to
that.
see that. I saw it at a different theater than these
I think
gentlemen, but all I saw was Narnia, which was great, and to hear Ben Grimm say it's clobbering time, that was
and
worth it for
Johnny
me.
say flame on. Come on.
Yep.
I mean,
I think for me, Johnny's going to be the breakaway character for that. I really like him.
he plays the character well, and they have it written well too. I mean, they really do play up the way he is.
There's that one scene where he's around all those women. He's like, I need another round of shots.
Yeah, I need numbers, and I need another round of shots. And the thing that I never saw that scene, but the scene they showed in the international trailer, which is the last scene they show at the end, where he's getting his temperature taken by the nurse, and she's goes up to like 209 degrees, and he goes, "Oh, you're hot," and he goes, "Why, thank you, so are you." And that just plays up the whole character.
Hollywood
but
guy,
yeah,
yeah.
he totally embraces, the celebrity side of being the superhero.
I think the thing that's going to bring it down for me is the Doom aspect of just what they're doing with the character.
But I think he's such
He's
a
such
dick
a villain.
I mean,
Yeah.
the guy playing him, all his characters he's played has been, you really do. You really get a sense you really hate the guy. You really want him to get his ass kicked, and
I never watched Charmed faithfully, but I did catch it sometimes when he was on it. Man, I hated him.
yeah,
Well,
everybody
and
that
it's
says the same thing. Everybody says the same thing about him. And I think, to me, the heart of the movie will be Ben Grimm. He will be the complete nucleus of the way the whole movie will revolve around. He's going to be the tragic hero that you're going to fall for.
Did you read any spoilers for it a little bit? I read a little.
Don't tell me
I'm not-
nothing.
Yada 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 yada.
Well, did you see the previews for Batman Begins and the Switch topics before spoilers come out?
What do you mean?
Batman Begins
Yeah.
trailer. Was
Yeah.
it before your Star Wars?
No, I saw
No,
no.
because this was a different trailer.
Yeah,
This is a different theater.
They
This
didn't
is
have
the
that
new trailer
trailer
that they
in
showed
mind.
before Star Wars, not the 10-minute preview from Smallville.
No, I didn't see anything. No, there were two previews in front of it, Narnia and Fantastic Four, and then they went right into the movie.
And there was a nice one for something with Angelina Jolie and some other guy. I was like,
That's Mr. and Mrs. Smith with Brad
Yeah,
Pitt
I've
and
seen
Angelina
it.
Jolie.
I've seen
That
the
looks
preview for
funny
that
though.
one.
And
I mean,
you nailed it on the head, where it's like it's the perfect date movie because
Right.
you got eye candy for each
Sex.
gender. Yeah, so I mean,
Where does Jennifer Aniston fit in on that movie?
I think
She's at
right
home
a second-
right where she
crying.
belongs, out.
Wishing there were more friends.
Joey, I'll do a reunion.
All right, here's another question for you. What aliens pushed over Han Solo's carbonite block?
Ugnaught.
Yeah.
I knew that one too, so I'll jump in on that.
What was the largest creature seen in the movie trilogy?
The Rancor.
Rancor, probably.
I was thinking
Or-
Sarlacc.
Yeah, the Sarlacc could be bigger.
Keep going.
Oh, the
Oh,
big,
the
big slug.
asteroid
Yeah,
slug
the
thing.
space
Yeah.
slug, Yep.
Damn, that was a good call, Jamie. Yeah.
What was that?
Well, as soon as you said Sarlacc, I knew it had to be something bigger
The asteroid space slug.
from Empire.
Because I was thinking from the sand thing.
That's a Sarlacc.
Yeah, okay.
Which of Luke's childhood chums bit the dust at the Battle of Yavin?
Oh, it's Biggs,
Dark Lightner.
Dark Lighter.
Lightner, whatever.
Come on, get it right.
It's not Tubbs.
That was one of the best parts about the
Skywalker.
special edition of New Hope is you get that extended scene with Biggs and stuff, and that's a good scene.
There's also that extended scene that didn't get included where he actually gets to, I think it's Anchorhead, and hangs out with his buddies.
That's in the book.
Yeah, that's in the book, and they have pictures of it, but it was never incorporated.
Yeah, I remember the picture book when I was a kid. And
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
why isn't that in the movie?
They called him Wormy or something because he was always
Yeah,
furry.
yeah, I think so. I like the scene that was in Jedi that was cut that I wish they would have added back in, where instead of them flying off of Tatooine saying, Han says, thanks, Luke, now I owe you one, they did that on the ground during a big sandstorm, and I always thought that would have worked just as well. It's neat pictures. I don't, even just as a separate deleted scene, not even throw it in the movie, just let me see it once, but I guess it's all cut up and gone.
Yeah, that'll be in the special director's edition.
The special directors 3D 2015
Wait, that
cut.
has all the Wookiee cum chugging on it, right?
Jeez.
What was
Who
that?
invited
Cross
him?
the line.
Did you ever see the stuff
No.
from what the heck, Dogma?
Oh.
Where they were talking about on the train, they were talking about the special director's edition of Star
Leave
Wars.
it to Beaver.
No.
You have to watch on
Dogma?
some of the outtakes.
Oh, it's a
yeah,
deleted-
when you're
oh.
sitting on.
Oh, yeah. I know what you mean. Yeah.
Ay. What type of ship discovered the Falcon when it arrived in the Alderaan system?
Oh, a TIE fighter.
How many moons circle Yavin according to the Death Star's orbital schematic?
4.
4 is correct.
Because they were on Yavin 4.
What structure's main entrance was located on the far side of the Endor landing platform?
Oh, the
bunker.
yeah, the shield generator building.
Control bunker.
There you go.
What was Madine or Madine?
General Madine.
Well, there you go. That was the. What was his rank?
Yes. Nice.
Sorry.
Good job, Shane.
General Madine?
Yeah.
I'll tell you, just another Star Wars thing. Watching Family Guy this week. At the very end, there was a thing with Peter, where he saved some guy from a fire, and it winds up to the end is the procession scene from Star Wars. complete with music, complete with Chewbacca
Yeah,
walking
Wookiee
alongside of him, the Wookiee growl, everybody turning, and C-3PO and R2 come out, and it was just great.
Peter nods over to C-3PO, and then R2 comes hobbling out.
And he just starts laughing uncontrollably.
I like the scenes of R2 kicking ass in the very beginning of this
Yeah,
movie. You know,
that
when
was
he's
great.
firing off his rockets and he shoots the things with oil and he sets them on fire. Like,
Yeah, but what the hell happened to those rockets in
Well, he was
2, 3, and
old.
4? Bullshit.
20 years. That's
Bullshit.
after he got mind wiped.
He didn't get
he
mind
doesn't
wiped.
get
just
mind wiped, only
the
3PO.
protocol droid.
But wait,
I chalk it up to 20 years of the rebellion not being able to pay for repairs, and he ran out of rocket fuel.
I
Come
talk
on.
it up to easy special effects.
I want to know, like Obi-Wan just kind of sees these droids. He's like, droids? Like the first time he ever saw these, and in the fourth one, but yet they were with him since Tatooine, and well, not.
Yeah, well, he's crazy now. That's the whole thing.
Well, I mean, he only got the gold plating in the second one. No, I think it was in the second one he got. No,
The
he
third
was
one.
still in the wire.
He wasn't
He
in the
has, like,
wire. He
half-
had like
yes.
very gray, flat toned.
And there's so many, of those protocol droids around. I
Well, did
could
they
see
ever
him
explain
not.
why his one leg's a different color? Because in this one they were all. in
Wow,
this
it is
one he was-
18 years later.
I know, but I didn't know if there was going to be some kind of something setting up
Yeah.
in this one.
Did you see the female droids? Like when they go back to the Senate building after saving the Chancellor, next to C-3PO and another protocol droid on the left of them were like female type. I guess protocol droids.
Yeah.
It was kind of cool.
I miss seeing that.
C-3PO's getting a little on the side. Who was general of the ground troops
Joan
in Darth Vader's fleet?
I don't have any idea.
General Veers.
That's correct.
Man, see those Imperial guys? Other than Grand Moff Tarkin, I don't know any of them. They're all the same to me. It's
Those
just
are clones.
yeah.
They killed him off so damn
Yeah, that's
fast.
the ticket.
Yeah.
In fact,
Last year at Wizard World Philly, I actually met the guy that played. What's his name? He was the one general in A New Hope, sitting around the table that Vader choked.
Right.
They get
yeah.
choked, yeah.
Um,
I can't think of his name either.
but it was a funny thing
Find
because
that question.
yeah, find that question because I was meeting Herbert Jefferson Jr. who played Boomer on Battlestar Galactica, and I wanted to get my picture taken with him, and we couldn't.
Jefferson.
Nobody was around, so Herbert Jefferson Jr. went over to that guy and said, "Hey, you want to snap my picture?" So I kind of felt bad that I didn't go talk to the guy then.
should have balanced that out.
No, I want to say it began with an M2, but I can't think of it.
Here's another question. Who ordered the shield doors of the Rebels' Hoth base closed for the night?
No, Han did.
No, Han was out on a tauntaun.
Oh,
There was those two guys talking.
Wasn't it? We must close the shield generators, or the
Yeah, it was just
doors
some
that
random
anybody goes out.
captain or something, right?
It says Major Derlin.
Which
Yeah.
could have been John Ratzenberger's character's name, since he was in that.
It wasn't him.
What part of a spaceship do Minox like to munch?
Chewing on the power cables, power couplings.
Power cables. What planetary system did Luke see in a Force-inspired vision? Yep, Jamie got that. Bespin.
Yeah, microphone, Jamie.
Well, I was waiting for you guys to jump in. Jeez, I'm waiting for you guys to jump in.
Well, no, wait. I mean, he's just like knocking it
I'm
out.
just
I mean, take
waiting. I like Star Wars
I
trivia.
wanted to make Brian
Make your
feel good.
stand, Jamie.
I
Make
couldn't
your
think
stand.
of it. See, when I play this game with other people, I kick their asses. It's Shane. I'm never fucking playing this ever.
No, don't play this with
I
Shane.
don't
I've
ever
played
play
it
this with anybody. I like sit at home and go, nobody will play this with me.
I played it with you once, but you did kick my ass. So.
I kind of thought you won one game out of that.
It may have been, but I know you were
Lucky rolls of the dice. You got what actor plays Bib Fortuna, and you went, oh shit, I don't know. I had
the
that
hell's
question
Bib
once,
Fortuna?
and I know that, and that's why I was like, you got to be kidding me. That guy doesn't even remember it.
He's looking at his resume. I was in that movie.
What Imperial leader's uniform boasted 12 rank insignia squares?
Moff Tarkin.
Yeah.
Grand Moff Tarkin.
Who was the first character in the movie trilogy to say, "May the Force be with you"?
Obi-Wan.
Nope.
Han.
Nope.
All right, Leia.
Nope.
Yoda.
It's not one of the big ones.
Wedge.
Nope.
I'm running out of characters.
Madonna's brother, Dodonna.
Madonna, Donna, Donna.
Maybe when they had the briefing.
That's right. The
yeah.
general, yeah.
Oh, that's a good question.
General Dodonna.
How many blaster hits did the Imperial probe droid take before it self-destructed?
3.
2.
Here's an easy one, I guess. Who destroyed the second Death Star's power regulators?
Wedge.
Yeah.
All right. I think
that's
that's enough trivia. I think that's
I
pretty
couldn't
much.
find him fast enough with Shane answering like that.
Sorry.
I think that's probably enough Star Wars discussion for one podcast. So, if you send us emails or post on our forum, because we'd like to know what you think. There's already a Star Wars thread going. So,
Yeah. I was gonna say there's a pretty good thread going, but you just keep writing and doing all that stuff.
Anybody read the book and let me know. I can't find anybody that has read any of the prequel books.
I haven't
as much
read
as-
any of the
We don't have the kind of time that
novelizations
you do,
at all.
apparently, We don't have the kind of time that none of us have
Yeah.
families.
There are only like 60 Star Wars novels, and I've read like 8 of them, so I'm still like a little far behind,
I will say there's so many that are just bad. I think they're bad. I read so many of them. I'm like, nah.
Yeah, I
don't
start
know.
them sometimes and then I move on. And
Yeah, if we all had families to ignore, we would.
There's no way Carlene's going to listen to this podcast.
Wow.
we love you, Carlene. We do.
Well, if she doesn't listen to it, we're gonna put it on a CD and send it to her.
blackmail. I'm going to get free comics for the rest of my life by not telling
You'll get his
Carlene.
free comics for the rest of your life.
But you know what the sad part is? All of
I'll
this
just get his
knowledge,
entire collection.
all of this stuff came before Carlene. It's the comic stuff that came after, and like during and after.
You know what? After this, I have to say I'm convinced that Shane must be a Jedi because he can just go to his wife. You don't know that I'm ignoring you.
You don't know what I've purchased. You don't know what I've seen. Yes, I played with the kids.
Yes, it's these are not the toys I just purchased. You did not see me do this.
I've had these for years.
All right, everyone. Well, thank you for joining us for our special edition Star Wars podcast, and may the Force be with you.